Oh, I'm recording. I didn't even know.
Oh, you are?
Blooper.
Hi. Hi. How do you test this? Is this on? Alright, welcome to the Made to Manifest podcast. We are here today with Maria. She's going to be talking about her story. I'll be starting with the questions, and the first thing we would like to ask is for you to share your name, where you live, what drew you here, and if this is your first conversation.
Hi, I keep forgetting that you recorded. So guys, just bear with me a little bit because I'm trying to get used to being questioned and stuff like that. So, yeah, can we start over?
Girl, it's going to take us forever.
I just can't. I'm not good with this.
Well, you only have an hour. 1, 2, 3. Hi, and welcome to the Made to Manifest podcast. We are here today with Maria. She's going to give us a little bit more of an insight into her and her thinking. I'm going to start with the questions today. So our first question for Maria is share your name, where you live, what drew you here, and if this is your first conversation with us.
Hello guys, welcome. Thank you guys for the opportunity and allowing me to share my story. So my name, as Michelle stated, my name is Maria Balderas. I currently live in Martinsville, Virginia. I am 25 years young, and this is partially, yes, my first conversation here at the Made to Manifest podcast.
All right. Getting to know you a little bit more, what are your hopes and concerns for your community and or the country with mental health?
I guess my biggest hope would be that my story can hopefully impact someone and encourage someone to also be okay with speaking out about their traumas, what's helping them, because I feel like you just never know what story is the closest to somebody else's, and maybe you're just that one story away from that last pool of encouragement for somebody to open up and finally be okay with talking about what's hurting them.
Okay. What would your best friend say about who you are and what inspires you?
That's a hard question. Who I am, despite everything that I've been through, I'm a encouraging person. I am the type of person that I want to see you do your best. I want to see you accomplish any and everything that you have hopes to accomplish. I'm very motivating, and once you sit there and start talking to me about goals or what it is that you know you're wanting to work towards, I'm the first person to push you and to motivate you and to talk you into doing things and, you know, inspire you. But I also lack that same encouragement that I'm so quick to give, but to suck it all in myself also. So yeah, and then I'm a very goal-driven person. That's pretty much what I feel like my best friend would say about me.
Okay. What sense of purpose guides you in your life?
Making a change, making an impact. Sometimes it's a little cloudy. Like I have multiple different goals. I'm a person that if this doesn't work out, then there has to be another way, and I need to find that other way to reach that goal that I have in mind. My mission, again, is just to make a change, and I want to start something that I'm starting to work on is accepting that it doesn't have to be a big change. It can be a small change and make a big difference. And sometimes I was always waiting for the big thing to change, you know. And I always felt so discouraged because I felt like if the big thing wasn't accomplished yet, I wasn't getting anything done. And so here recently, for maybe the past year or so, I've started to take more joy in making small changes to lead up to the big impact, the big mission, the big change that I have or I want to see in my life.
And just a comment, being able to see you, especially here recently, a lot of what you're doing, I always see your push. Like, you've always shown me, hey, things are possible. You're the reason why this very thing started in the beginning. So I completely see what you say. You go to inspire others, but you really, you really do give everybody the inspiration. And I've seen you don't take any for yourself. I have noticed that.
Yeah, I struggle with that, and it's like recently, like recent like the past month, I have, you know, I've struggled all the time with my weight. Like, all of my life, all I remember is being overweight or, you know, looked at because of my physique. And that's one of the big things that's really impacted my mental health. And recently, like, I started the gym. I just went and signed up one day. Like, it was from, you have to want to change. You have to want to, you can't keep waiting for someone to come in. Somebody's not going to come in, you know, take all the pounds off of your body. So you have to work for what you want. And that's, again, circling back to what I was saying previously, is taking joy in the journey, taking joy in the small changes, the differences, the way you feel just starting out. So I started recording myself and recording my journey on social media. And quickly I got back a lot of love, a lot of keep it up. So it's not all negative, but then I started realizing my family making changes as well. You know? And so it was like, life gets hard. Mom life gets hard. It gets hectic if you're working a full-time job and everything like that. But you started to motivate me in the days that I was strict for a week and a half, and then you started right after I did, and so did another two ladies that I follow on social media. They started their journey, and then I stopped, or I you know, took a slight break, and you guys started posting every day, and it was like, wow. You know, I was doing so well, and I inspired these 3 people to start the gym. Like, there's no excuse. We need to put ourselves first. And then I started slacking off, and it was like, watching you guys do it, it started motivating me again. And so that, to me, is a big impact. Even the smallest little things, you know, leads up to that big impact of other people watching you in silence. And most people, they will continue to watch you and they won't tell you a word. They continue to watch you and watch you and watch you. And my mission is just to really inspire people to put themselves first, even though I struggle with that at times, to continue to put myself first. But I'm trying to learn how to take it day by day, because it can get very overwhelming if you always have that end goal in mind, but you're not enjoying the daily things that you're doing. You're not being present in your journey. And I feel like that takes away from, will you really be happy when you get to that end goal if you didn't really enjoy everything that you went through to get there? But yeah.
It feels like karma.
Yeah.
You put out, you get what you put out, and you put out all those positive vibes, and
yeah,
you kind of get them back in return. Now, what experiences in your life, in your work, or in your family inform your understanding of mental health?
Understanding mental health is a really difficult subject. it's not easy because multiple people have different views of what mental health really is. Some experiences that I've had in my life, some traumatic and some not so traumatic, gave me different perspectives on how to understand mental health. I feel like, honestly, this past year or so is when I really started to understand mental health. I didn't know anything really about mental health, how to cope with it, how to deal with it, how to forget it, how to forgive it, how to live on with it, move on with it, how to grow with it, or how to... I didn't know how to do anything. And it's really it's a trial and error, and it's really hard if you don't have a support system that supports you or that even understands you. Getting people to understand mental health now, I feel like, is becoming more easier because it's becoming more open about it. It's super important to be open about it. Again, and I'll always continue to say this, is that you never know who is listening, and you never know who is watching you, and you never know who you're inspiring. Now with social media, people are becoming more out about it. I don't know this person or anything, but like now people are coming out on social media speaking about their rapists, speaking about the people who would come and beat up their family members, living in domestic violence. People are coming out now on social media, and I like it. I like to see that, because now technology and how easily accessible it is to people, I feel like now it's even giving the ability to younger people to research, what is mental health? How can this help me? How can I find help for the people who want help? I can't tell you when I was 6 years old and 7 years old, when my traumas really started and my experiences started in my life, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who I could talk to. I didn't know who I could trust. I didn't have an outlet that I could go to. I would go to church, and then sometimes you would go to church and you would get judged. And so I didn't have that safe space, is what I really am coming to learn that it is important to have, is a safe space. As well as Michelle created a Madetwomanifest group, and it's a space for you to be comfortable to go and talk about your past experiences, your traumas, or just to be there for the daily motivation that Reina posts every single day. Michelle posts her videos also, and some days I go on TikTok and the first thing I see is Michelle's face is about mental health, and I'm just like, it's that little reminder that you still need as an adult, as children need. And I know I talk a lot. I'm sorry. But I like the fact that it's more, that mental health help is more accessible now than it was before. Again, the safe space, when I was 6 years old, and 7 years old, and my trauma started happening, again, I didn't feel like I could trust anybody. And me and my siblings, we were all young. Of course, I could have went to my older sister. I could have, but depending on whatever the trauma was or the experience was, and the threat you may have been made to not open your mouth, or what will happen because, to the people that you love, it does create that fear. And it does create that you keep living in that fear of, will they hurt my family? Will they kill this person? Will it happen to me again? Will they go one step further than they did the last time if I do say something? So you do live into a fear for a long time. And it is very traumatic. A year ago, I decided enough is enough. And I pretty much got fed up with the feeling of being, you know, like imprisoned of the fear of, you know, if I see this man again, what will it trigger? You know, or if I see the second person, what will it trigger? If I see the third person, what will it trigger? Because 9 times out of 10, when you go through sexual traumas or experiences, it's not just one offender. You know, it's probably multiple, because those offenders talk within each other, and, you know, I got this person to stay quiet, she's not going to say anything, you know. And again, it's hard. You have to want to take that first step to forgive, I guess, whatever happened. I mean, and I hope that my words don't get interpreted into trying to say other things, because I know, you know, some people specifically, if you say it a certain way, people take it in a different manner. Really, my whole, as Michelle asked, my mission here is to speak about what happened to me and give awareness, but also give maybe a tip or two on how I've helped myself cope with what I went through. But I had to want to let myself be free, because I felt like my mind wasn't letting me be free. And when I was gonna go to a group, and it was like a group of just women, and you talk about your traumas, and it was like you talk about your traumas and how you could cope with them. And I mean, a lot of people go other routes that I decided I wasn't gonna do. And I had to forgive. You forgive, but you don't forget. And it's not so much as you're forgiving that person, you're forgiving that it happened, I guess. And there's nothing in the world that I can do to change what happened, because it's the past. It's already happened. And you're never gonna forget. I feel like it's just something that day by day you have to live with it, sadly. And sadly you had to go through that. I will say that I feel like it's made me a strong person. And if I ever have a daughter, I hope that with all the research that I've done and all, you know, the awareness that I'm trying to bring to people, I will be able to teach her the signs. You know, this is a sign, this is a sign, this is a sign. You know, if this person, you know, starts to rub against you, it starts in the, now looking back, it's like, ooh, why didn't I see that? But you don't see it. You're an innocent child. You're an innocent person. You're an innocent adult. You're not, it's just predators out there that, you know, are preying on you, you know. And so it's not your fault. That's one of the biggest things that I had to remind myself, and I still have to remind myself, that it's not my fault. I didn't throw myself at that person. I wasn't asking for that to happen to me. And the reason I'm saying that is because a lot of times I said, why me? Why me? Why couldn't, but, you know, and I was blaming myself for it to happen to me. But Because I used to think, this person has a wife. You know, why is he looking to do these things to a kid? And that's what you have your wife for, you know? And this is an 8-year-old little girl or 7-year-old little girl, and I'm having these conversations with myself, and that is hard. And I'm 25 now, and I'm finally telling myself, it wasn't your fault. It's not your fault that happened to you. And you know, it's not easy, you guys, and it's something that I feel like it's just always gonna linger with you. Again, you just learn to live with it. You learn to cope with it, and you know, you still have that emptiness feeling in you that you never know if it's ever gonna go away. But this whole journey is hard, and it's not something that you wake up tomorrow and it's all gone. It's the battle with your mind is the hardest battle that you will ever fight in your life. But I really feel like it's the most worthwhile battle that you will ever fight with. Because I'll tell you something. Once you free yourself from it, you feel so much better. And you do go through the 5 or 6 steps of grieving. You do. You go through the denial, the grieving, and then the acceptance. And you feel free. You feel better. You feel like once you talk about it, and now I want to share this. I got mocos everywhere, but once I started to be open with my sisters and my family, and to my family is my siblings and my mother, and I felt like, I mean, sadly, we went through some similar traumas, but it's created our bond the strongest that it's ever been the last couple of years. We love each other, of course, and then we can't stand each other, but we love each other. And right now, the best thing that's happening is that I'm working alongside 2 of my sisters, and I love my other sisters to death and my brother, but we all have a similar goal. We want to bring awareness about mental health, and we want to stop being quiet, and we want to break generational chains of just deal with it, just shut up, just be tough it out, it is what it is, and everything else, and we want to make a change in our kids' lives, and we want to make sure that their mental health is taken care of first before anything else, and to make them aware that it is okay to not be okay. It is okay to go through things, but we're creating this safe space for our kids to, if there's anything that you ever want to talk about or anything that's ever bothering you, or anything that that is not okay, like, come and talk to us. And that's hard. It is hard to create a safe space when you didn't have a safe space when you were kids. And the thing is, like, immediate family should be safe space, but sadly that's not the case for everyone. But yeah, Michelle, sorry I took 30 minutes to answer that one question.
No, that's fine. These are the things that we really need to talk about, and one of those things that I wanted to mention is that even though right now as a family we're open and talking, it wasn't like that a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. We weren't talking about the things that needed to be talked about. We kept things close to our heart, and that's kind of what started the whole anxiety, depression, and everything else, was that we wouldn't share, we wouldn't communicate, we wouldn't talk to one another. And now that those doors have opened, that has ultimately led to our healing process and us being able to be there and support each other. And one of those that, like you said before, is without the support, it is 100 times harder to get the healing process started. And I haven't seen that just with close family members. I've actually had some still family members, but kind of like a little bit out of my family domain. They're out. They're still a part of my family, but they're out. They've actually reached out. And the only problem that I see is that they don't have the support. And I told them, I mean, it takes a long time for your husband, your wife, your children, your grandparents, your mother, your father. It takes a long time for them to realize that you need them for support. It's when you've been living with a certain mentality for 30, 35 years, it's hard to change that in just one conversation.
Yes.
You have to change it over many conversations. So, I mean, I feel like even this one conversation, this isn't enough. That's why we're going to keep going with this podcast, because you've got to hear it. You've got to be able to go through it. You've got to be able to relate. And so, I mean, this is exactly what we need to be talking about.
Yeah, and like, we all come from Latina culture, and that is our ethnicity background. And unfortunately, a lot of the Latin culture is you can't. What is depression? What is anxiety? What is crying? What is, what is that? Like, it's kind of like it almost feels like that's not allowed. That's not permitted.
Because it's a weakness.
It's a sign of weakness. Exactly. And I had this one situation with, I'm not going to, name anybody, but I had this one situation where my son was crying, and my son was told, boys don't cry. And I immediately said, no. Like, he will, if he wants to cry, he will cry. And I will sit there and I will listen to him, and I will hold him, and I will cry with him, or whatever. You're not going to put that boundary on my son of that's a sign of weakness because you're a man, or you're a young man, and that's not okay. No. And so here recently, my boyfriend as well has been speaking about his traumas, and and I'm hoping, and I'm trying to convince and push him to come onto the podcast and as well share his stories, because I feel like that him being in the Latin culture as well, that's a sign of weakness, and I'm not allowed to share what hurts me, and I'm not allowed to speak about what's happened to me because I'm a man. And so, we've spoken, if in the future we decide to have kids, we won't put that line there on, I have to be tough, I have to be macho, I have to have that kind of ego, and so yeah, that's gonna be another story. But if anything, as well as my mission, Michelle, I want to reach out to our Latina culture and Latin culture in general, men and women, kids, teenagers, whoever's listening to this podcast. You don't have to continue those generational chains and curses and mentalities with the future generation. Like, there's time, it is time to make a change for the future, because with it's sad to me, and it's so heartbreaking to see these kids committing suicide, and these kids overdosing on these pills and these drugs, and these, like, kids in drug houses. Like, no, and it's probably because your parents failed you, and giving you that safe space. But that's why I'm saying, like, it's time now to make a change and make it a safe place for our kids to come and talk to us, and not feel weak, and not feel, like you're a wuss or whatever, you know. I really want to say another word, but and it's gonna be hard, and that's the thing, like it's hard. It is freaking hard because you still have, you know, if you start researching the brain and have see all the properties, the subconscious and the conscious, and what this part of the brain does and this part of the brain does, it's so powerful what the brain can do. So I just feel like if we start putting us first, our kids see us. If we start reading or we start listening to these things instead of being in the car listening to rap music and you know, or any kind of music that's talking about drugs, that's talking about killing, that's talking about women and booties and, you know, cuss words and stuff like that, and we start listening to positive things, your kids don't have another choice but to listen to that. And sometimes now I'm in the car and I'm listening to things, and Mateo will surprise me because he would just all of a sudden say, "Mommy, you can do it. Mommy, I'm so proud of you." You know, and so it makes my heart full because he's listening, and he's only 4 years old. And I feel like the earlier we start, the better it will be. But and some days, like, I don't even feel my 100% self, and my son will come and be like, "Mommy, I'm so proud of you. Come here, let me give you a kiss. Let me give you a hug." And Mateo will literally tell me he loves me 100 times a day. And that makes my heart smile. Because sometimes my inner child is like, I wish I would have heard that a lot more when I was a child. And when Mateo says, I come back from the gym and he'll look at me and he'll say, "I'm so proud of you." Again, it's your inner child that's trying to heal itself, and it's still, you're always going to have that inner child that wanted things so bad that, you know, you have those moments where you get super happy, you get super touched, because especially when I see my son with things that, you know, I wanted as a child, or telling me things, or, you know, that I would have liked to heard as a child, it triggers back memories. And like I was talking about triggering earlier, is mental health is hard because even things that happened when you were a child, as you're an adult, you still see things, you still hear things that trigger moments. That's why I said you don't really completely heal. I feel like we're always going to be in the process of healing, because there's always things that's going to trigger you back to the most traumatic moments in your life, because that's just how the brain works. And that's why I said it's just so important to have the safe space. It's so important to learn to cope with things. When you feel anxious or you feel depressed, get up, go run. Don't go to the bed and lay down and go into a dark room. That's going to make it worse. So that's why we got to really put in the work to create these healthy habits for your mental health. Healthy habits for your mental health. And that's something that I'm learning, and that's something that I'm doing, and that's something that we're always going to we're going to learn. Back then, what I did to not help my mental health was I would hide. I would hide from my family. I didn't want to see nobody. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I just wanted to be alone. I wanted to go out into a dark space and be alone. And we would go to our room. We would go to our room. We would hide a couple days. What was sad though, she's just sad. She's just depressed. She don't want to talk to nobody. Instead of going and
She's lazy.
"Hey Michelle, are you okay? Do you need somebody to talk to?" And those are changes that we're starting to make now. Like, she knew I wasn't okay, because I wasn't active in our group chat. I wasn't calling anybody. You know, she texts, and all she says is, "Are you okay?" Question mark. And I said, "No, I'm not." First thing she does is she calls me, and we talk for an hour. And I feel like Michelle in that moment didn't really realize how much that meant to me, because I was feeling alone, and I was easing back down into my depressive hole, you know. And it's just like she kind of like pulled me by the hair up out of that hole. And she was like, you know, let's talk about it. And that was probably the best 1 hour laugh and talk and anything. And it just doesn't even matter if you're talking about nothing, but it's something, you know, it's something to that person that's feeling down, you know. And you just never know. A phone call, a text, a card, whatever will do for a person you haven't heard in a while. Check on your people. Because they're probably at their breaking point. If you haven't heard from them in a while, just check on them. You never know what that will mean to that person. And so, yeah. I think I'm done now.
All right. So leading up to our last question, how do you take care of your mental and emotional state? What are some of the things that you do when you realize that you're needing a little extra help to come out of it?
Shop.
Retail therapy.
I'm not gonna lie, like, you know, I'm wanting to move into more healthier things, like, you know, like the other day, I was feeling bad, and I was starting to get a little upset and angry, and that's one of the consequence, or I wouldn't say consequence, but one of the downfalls of, you know, your anxiety and depression. You lash out. And the last thing that I want to do is lash out on my son and yell at my son and take it out on him, because it's not his fault what I went through. And that's something big. That is something huge, because I have also talked with another lady, and she was like, you know what? I'm noticing that I'm lashing out on my kids, you know, and we're human, mamas. We're not perfect. Even though we're held to such a high standard, we are human. But I feel like it's more so we do need to take care of our mind first. We need to get up early. If the kids get up at 7, get up at 6. So that whole hour, you're dedicating it to yourself. If you're reading, if you're listening to personal development, if you're going for a walk, a run, whatever. That way when your kids wake up, you've already filled your cup up. So before your kids wake up with an empty cup, yours is full, so you can fill it with them, with positivity, with love, with whatever it may be, you know. Because if we're in the bed and we're cranky and we're tired, and then the kids wake up and you're cranky, you're going to give that off to your kids. And this is exactly what the person that I spoke with, she said, we were in the grocery store and I was mad for no reason. I was just mad. And so my kids were happy and I was mad. So the vibe spirals off to your kids. Whatever you want for your kids, you have to do it yourself. If you want your kids to be happy, you have to be happy. If you want kids to be healthy, you need to be healthy. If you want them to be positive, you need to be positive. You cannot fill up a cup from an empty cup. So I decided to make the change recently is to get up earlier than my son and make sure that I'm good to go, I'm happy, I'm positive. And I saw an immediate difference in that. When he would wake me up out of bed, you know, he's like, good morning, mommy, and I'm still sleepy, so I get mad and go to sleep or go, shut the door, whatever. And now it's going a lot better. It's just taking the first step in making a difference, making a change. Michelle, I forgot your question.
How do you take care of your mental and emotional needs?
Oh, so like before I would do retail therapy, I just wanted to shop. I just wanted to buy. I just wanted to get out and get my mind off of it. And that was kind of, I love interior designing. And that's just something that I would go and just look at stuff. What could I buy something new? I was kind of like, I would get tired of looking at the same thing in my home or in my closet, or if I even went and bought a box of pens, I was happy with that. It was just having something new all the time. But now I'm wanting to incorporate healthier habits, like reading a book. Instead of jamming out to music, I want to sit down and read a book. Or instead of sitting on the couch and watching TV, I want to go out for a walk. If I go to a trail or something, or again, instead of sitting down with a bag of chips, I want to go to the gym. So because the bag of chips is not going to help me, but before I would also eat a lot, and I gained a lot of weight, and that made my mental health even worse. So that's why I say it's kind of things like you have to, is this thing benefiting me that I'm about to do? If I'm going to sit here and watch a series and binge and eat chocolate cake and a bag of chips and 3 sodas maybe, is that going to help me? Is that going to benefit me, or is that going to make me feel 10 times worse because I just ate a whole chocolate cake and a bag of chips and 2 sodas? And I'm saying that because that's what I've done before. I literally went one day to Walmart, bought me a triple chocolate fudge cake, a bag of sour cream and onion whatever chips, and 2 Coca-Colas. And that's all I wanted, you guys. I wanted to go sit on the couch, watch Criminal Minds, and eat the cake. And I felt so good. I felt wonderful eating that chocolate cake and watching Criminal Minds, because that's my favorite show on Netflix. But if I were to be so honest with you, after looking at that empty tray of chocolate cake and half a bag of chips eaten and 2 sodas, I felt disgusting. And the first thing I did, I was like, you fat pig. I literally said that to myself. And that killed me. I went to bed. And the next day, I remember my stomach was hurting. It's just, I could go on and on and on because I love to talk, obviously. But healthy habits for our mental health. And that's really my motto that I wrote down in my new journal. Healthy habits for mental health. My boyfriend loves to eat everything in the world that he lays his eyes on. And it's hard for me to want to eat healthy. But that motto has really stuck with me. Healthy habits for your mental health. And yeah, guys, it's just make the first step. It's baby steps. You're trying to get to the top of the staircase without even taking the first step. Imagine that staircase is going to take you 100 steps to get to that top step. How in the hell are you going to go from step 1 to step 100 if you don't go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 all the way to 100? You have to take the first step. Make the change, take the first step, and be proud of yourself. And at the end of the day, and this is something, and I want to share this because this is something that I'm seeing that's making an immense change in myself, is at the end of the day, write down one positive thing that you did for yourself that day, and whatever made you happy that day, write it down. And then at the end of the 60 days, me and my sister here, Michelle, is in that challenge right now. And at the end of the 60 days, we're going to share with you guys the 60 positive thoughts that we had for the last 60 days. Because I feel like we would be more grateful with what we have if we are more present. You have to be grateful. You have to be grateful that you're alive, that God's given you another opportunity. And if you're not religious, be grateful that you're given another opportunity to make a change, to make an impact, to fulfill your purpose, whatever purpose it is that's here for you. Be grateful for what you have, because I'm religious, and when God gives you everything, or what you really, your end goal, if you're not grateful for the little things that he was giving you, how are you going to be grateful for the huge thing that he's going to bless you with? So, and that's something that I'm learning myself. Everything that I'm sharing with you guys is because it's what I'm learning myself in my journey. I was so ungrateful at times. And now I think back and it's like, I think I was happier then with the littlest things, you know, that I had then or what I had then than what I have now. Why? Because I wasn't grateful for what I had then, you know? So I feel like be more grateful for what you have, for what you're going through right now, because it's going to lead up to what you're wanting out of life. So yeah, be happy with the small things. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Maria, for your thoughts on mental health. It's always such a pleasure to hear what you have to say.
Thank you guys for the
Inspiring.
opportunity. I hope I inspired one person today to either make a change, to open up, or to start your healing process. That was my goal for this podcast. And please reach out to us. If you'd love to share your story, we would love to be your audience and hear you, and possibly interview. You know, again, your story is inspiring, and it's probably your audience is still waiting to hear your story. So don't be shy. There's no perfect story out there. Keep your head up. You are strong, you are beautiful, you are capable, you are worthy, and you're grateful to be alive, and we love you.
All right. Thank you for joining us here on Made to Manifest. Stay tuned. We will have our next person next Saturday with our blog. Make sure you stay tuned. It'll be Saturday by 8 p.m. Hear you then.
Bye, guys.
Bye.